Hello, and welcome back to what should be the third and final part of Hide and Seek. Um, there are only 10 minutes left on the clock, of which I suppose a minute to a minute and a half will be end credits, so I guess we can handle this. We can finish this toot sweet. Also, I would like to apologize. Apparently, my video crapped out sometime during the previous recording, which it actually might do again. I've been having problems. I'm hard on laptops. I carry them around and I tend to drop them. And this one has been dropped, and I've used a hammer to fix it. So that sounds worse than it is. But the thing is, if the video craps out again, I'm very sorry. It's gonna continue happening. I can record this 1,000 times. If it's gonna crap out, it's gonna crap out. So anyway, also, before we get to the new stuff, there are two things of the previous episode I still want to mention, or not episode, previous recording. One, at the end, I didn't mention that it wasn't just Elizabeth who thought that Rodney was chicken. You know, he was supposed to, she told him he should stay behind because he has the little thing that protects him, the doodad, the personal shield, and then the personal shield stopped working. And anyway, it's not just her that was nasty to him, or teasing him. I don't know. John too quipped that Rodney couldn't possibly be the one to stay behind to catch the entity because he might faint again. And yeah, let's be honest, both Elizabeth and John might be meaner towards Rodney than they ought to be, but let's also be honest. They have already shown lots of patience. Rodney can be difficult, and he can be annoying. And I also think that we are supposed to get a moment where we realize he's not the Rodney from SG1 anymore. Like, keep in mind, he was really, really hated in SG1. Like, he had almost no redeeming qualities. I think everyone just decided he might be the worst character when he said he always liked these dumb blondes with the hair. So there's that. So I guess we need to show that he can win their respect. Also, at this point, there's no reason for him to be on John's off-world team. They were messing around together with the little doodad, and I think that was a good start to showing they have a relationship. But at this point, there's really no reason for John to just choose him to go on the off-world mission. I mean, he's just Rodney. He's a little chicken. He's a little coward. And yes, at this point, I would like to talk to the rabid Rodney fandom, because yeah, I know you're there. You have always been in his corner, but and I know apparently so much fandom surrounding, especially the episode Trinity, but yeah, let's be honest, you didn't like Rodney either until Trinity. He was kind of annoying here. You weren't supposed to like him. You didn't like him. You liked him because he had such an upwards growth in character. He started out right at the bottom and he grew. And that's why you like him. You don't like him because of this episode. You the first time you watched this, you were still thinking he's an idiot. And two, I also know a lot of you only like Rodney because you really think he and John should be a couple. Now, I really don't care one way or the other if someone has the gay, but these are two very straight characters. They're straight. They have been written as straight. A lot of their bonding is concerning being straight. I mean, making them a gay couple is very much against both of their characterizations. That does annoy me. Also, I have to say I'm always a bit confused because I also wish I didn't, but do know that a lot of the people who ship them are women, which confuses me. The word, the phrase, the moment, the one thing everyone wants is to see themselves being represented. And if you're a woman and you have two hetero men, wouldn't you be more represented if those two hetero men, regardless of which one you like, gets to end up with a really nice woman? Because then you can see yourself as the female character they end up with, and you can dream that you might be able to end up with one of these men. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. But no, you just take them off the romantic market for you, which I don't get. So yeah, these two having nice relationships with women would have been much more representative of yourself, of me even. I'm just totally hetero. And yeah, I know that Rodney has a relationship with Jennifer. It's very weird. It doesn't make any sense. She's a balanced, nice, much younger woman, and he is Rodney. Like, you know what? At this point, I suppose John and Rodney make more sense than these two, which is not something I thought I'd have to say. So yeah, thank you very much. I hate it here. Anyway, the second thing I want to say, because this was all just the one thing I wanted to say. The second thing I wanted to say before we get into any of the new stuff is, and yeah, I know this tangent is going to push me over the I suppose 10-minute mark. Like, it's 10 minutes left of the episode and I'm going to talk about it for 20 minutes. Yay. That's just how this is going to go. Anyway, I did notice going through this very frame by frame. I mean, so I noticed that Elizabeth is wearing two patches, or at least a patch and a pin of Atlantis, which is weird. Like, why? She's already wearing the patch. No one else is wearing the pin. I'll if I ever notice it, I'll draw your attention to it. But I don't think anyone else is wearing the pin, and it's not like she can wear the pin anywhere else. So, though it's an official Earth mission, it's covert, so she's not allowed to wear it on Earth. She I mean, it's already been established whenever they go off-world, they take off their patches anyway. So why is she wearing a pin? Like, because is it to show she's the leader? Is it in case she loses the patch? With Velcro can get worn out. To draw attention to her chest area for all the boys out there. Why is she wearing an extra pin? Especially as we go through the series, we know that she always wears that necklace. Like, I've actually paid attention to it, and she wears it right from the start. Like, it was there in Rising already. So she's always wearing a necklace. Now she has a pin, and like, it kind of puts me to mind of what Kate Mulgrew said concerning her portrayal as Captain Janeway in the beginning. Like, they knew they wanted her to be the captain, and the story was written for her to be the captain, but they were always the behind-the-scenes guys, the directors, the producers, the makeup and wardrobe department. They were always fussing about she should look perfect. Like, even when Voyager started filming, she already had the short hair, but they had this very fancy chignon with the extra and the things, and apparently they wanted to wear her to wear a corset at some point, and she got kind of annoyed at that. And later, the character did, or the behind the scenes people did relax a little bit, and the same thing happened with Sam Carter in SG-1. Like, the rumor is that they initially wanted her to wear like fancier getup, kind of the uniform, but the way Vala wears it. Which, I mean, Vala did do it eventually, but they wanted Sam to be like that in the beginning, and she and Amanda Tapping said, "No, I'm a soldier. I'm not here to be sexy. I'm here to be a soldier." So I wonder if some of this has to do with this, all these extras with Elizabeth has something to do with that. That, yeah, people were aware that she's going to be the leader. They kind of built it around that, but they also didn't trust that the character and the actress could pull it off without extras. Anyway, so I've been talking 10 minutes and we haven't even gotten to this part, to the last part of this episode. So let's go there. And we start off where Harling puts Chinta to bed, and they have a little bit of back and forth, which is very good. And eventually Jinto admits that he's afraid of the dark, that on Atlantis, the dark in Atlantis scares him. And for some reason, the door to their quarters isn't closed. And so Taylor overhears them, like, not only is the door not closed while Harling is putting Jinto to bed, but Taylor's also lurking. And this is weird. For a moment there, I thought that maybe it's to show the Athosians have always lived in tents, so there's a little bit of openness. But we are shown earlier in this episode, at the beginning of the second recording, I actually took these screenshots about Jinto leaving the quarters he shares with his dad, and you can see the doors opening, and they're knocking on his friend's quarters. So they do close their doors. So why was Taylor lurking, and why were the doors open? I mean, it does cut through some things in the plot point, because we get to see Taylor telling Jinto that the dark, even the dark is afraid, and the dark is afraid of the light, which is a complete contradiction to what we know of this entity. This entity feeds on energy, so even a candle, which is a very small source of energy, would be energy. So this dark doesn't fear light, it kind of craves light. But anyway, we do see the school scene where Taylor, for the second, and if I remember correctly last time, lights the candle with her magic or scientific lighter doodad. Yeah, I mean, I really, really love this series. And if I hadn't been going through this frame by frame, bit by bit, story beat by story beat, I might have missed some stuff, which I have in the big past, but I told myself I'm going to give you everything that I can think of, even if it's tangential. So, yeah, I love this episode. This is a weird part. It is what it is. Anyway, speaking of questionable moments, we're immediately granted another one. The moment itself isn't questionable, and Elizabeth is discussing the personal shield doodad with Peter, saying that it's not working anymore. And Peter, who actually took the time out of all the other stuff he's doing, like, this guy must be so overworked. And out of all the other stuff he was doing, he took the time to actually be one of those who read the instructions that went with the doodad. And apparently, on the instructions, it is said that this thing binds, that it imprints on the wearer, and therefore it would not have worked on John. Now, this is what I mean by this is a questionable moment, because although this is very pertinent to this episode, and it's a very good thing to this episode, like, it's a personal shield, therefore it imprinted on the wearer, no one else can use it, so the only one who can use it again, which, I mean, Rodney will have to, is Rodney. So no one else can take the heroic moment from Rodney. Rodney gets his back to the wall, and therefore he rises to the occasion. we'll go with that. But later on, there's an entire episode in season 3, Irresponsible, where Lucius is wearing one of those things. Although he does not have the ATA gene, he got someone to initiate it for him, and he wears it. And then later in that episode, John wears it, and this goes against the lore of hide and seek. Now, personally, I think this is a weakness later on. The guys who wrote Irresponsible should have, just made something up, put a little lantern on it or something. Like, just off the cuff, I can think of like 4 throwaway lines they could have used. They could have said, oh yeah, they've since then realized the imprint is temporary, or it must be temporary, or it only imprints on those with the ATA gene. Therefore, Lucius could use it, but it never imprinted on Lucius. Or maybe the one Lucius is wearing is a newer model, and therefore the imprinting problem was solved. Or alternatively, and I think this one's the most important, the Lucius has an older model, like a really old model, and the Atlanteans realized that the Wraith could use them. Therefore, they added the extra features that it has to be used by someone with the ATA gene, and it imprints so that the Wraith can't take them and use them. That would have been very nice, very quick. And unfortunately, I did mention before that we are seldom left to figure stuff out on our own. But in this case, we're going to have to figure that little bit out on our own. Well, later, in Irresponsible. I'm just mentioning it now. I would also like to draw your attention quickly to the fact that everyone is wearing a shirt, the same a uniform shirt, even the civilians. Like Peter is a civilian, the lady there at the back is a civilian. This will come up in the next episode, but I just wanted to, quickly point that out. That it's not something I just noticed in one episode. This is a running thing. So to get back to the entity in the box, the plan is to shut down all the Nakada generators, to only leave the box running because it has its own little power source. And then because everything is turned off, the entity would probably go back to its box. And Peter does say that they're going to be left without sensors, but Elizabeth says that they have posted guards outside the living quarters, so that might give them a little bit of warning. And she also lights a candle with a very human torch, human lighter, and she says that the Thosians believe that the light will protect them. See, I told you they're going to get back to the light motif. It's not a big motif. It started like a minute ago. Like, I know there have been more talking between when we last saw it and now, but in the episode, like, it's been a minute, no more. Of course, Rodney asks her, and you're doing it because, and she's like, it's gonna get dark in here, and really just she's so over Rodney. Like, he has his moments and there are times, but this episode he's been testing her patience and she's over it, and Rodney just can't help being himself. And she lights a candle, and he brought the most obnoxiously bright torch he could find, and he turns it on and he's smirking, and really, again, those fangirls, you did not like him here either. You might have thought, oh, this is fun. You did not like him at this point. Admit it. Anyway, Peter turns off the power, and the entity does expect it, and it does go to the power source, the only one that it has, that's active at the moment in the city, and which is in the box. But after 10,000 years, it's not going back into that box. And it nopes out of there like, I'm done. No, this is not happening again. And John does mention that this thing is smarter than they thought, but honestly, if this entity hadn't learned this lesson in 10,000 years, it was never going to. Um, Anyway, after the powers turn back on, as the rest of them are wondering what to do, Taylor is standing in front of the gate thinking. Like all the rest of them are frantically working, and she's just taking a moment, and then she gets a good moment. And I don't mean that sarcastically. She's given a real good moment in this series. She says that uh, the entity has been locked in a box for 10,000 years. Wouldn't its only inclination be to get away, to get out of there? And at first I thought that, yeah, that was the entity's idea, because the moment the box was activated or the entity was let out, the gate, remember the gate shield went on, then the gate dialed, and then the shield turned back off. But they turned it off, obviously. I mean, now this couldn't have been the entity because it's not smart enough to do that. So I'm guessing, and this is like the first time we really have to surmise something for the writers. I'm surmising this has to do with all the Lantian fail-safe backups and stuff. Like, if this entity gets out, everything turns off so that the entity can be drawn to the gate and be let out, because the Lantians knew the entity was dangerous. I don't know. This is, as I said, this is not as good as Rising. It's still pretty solid, but yeah, this is one moment we have to infer instead of just being. We're not even giving the idea of why. We're just like, that's just okay. This is why it should have happened. Anyway, so the updated plan is to put one of the Nakoda generators on a Malp and then turn Atlantis off again and have the entity follow the Malp, which is going through the Stargate, to follow the Malp and the generator through the gate. And of course, John is the one who has to stay behind and turn on the Malp and the generator, because of course he is. And as they're preparing the Malp and everything, Elizabeth does take a moment to tell Taylor that it was good thinking. And Taylor acknowledges the moment, and I think this is a really great moment. Elizabeth offers this acknowledgement as an apology. I mean, not that she really, really needed it, but she would be aware that the Thosians aren't too fond of her at that point, and she knows Taylor might not be too fond of her at that point either because of the Thosians. But Taylor thanks her, and she acknowledges the praise, and she accepts it, and it's kind of like an understanding between them. Like, maybe the Thosians and the Atlanteans might not always get along, but at least the two leaders can come to mutual ground, can understand one another. Of course, later they do get to be friends, but at this point we're shown the bridge being built between them. And at least John makes it out in time, but the entity only swarms the gate room, unwilling to pass through the gate, which you can't blame him. The last time he passed through a force field or a thing, he ended up in a box for 10,000 years. So it's just swarming there. And the controls are locked out as well. They can't shut down the entity. We know this from SG1 lore. If there's enough energy coming into the gate, then it can't shut down. So actually, this would mean the entity is dying, although I don't know. Anyway, so everyone's again scrambling for ideas, arguing, although I know this is how it's filmed, but in this scene, in this shot, you can see Rodney realizing that he's the only one who can help them get the entity out of Atlantis, and he's not happy about it. Meanwhile, you're hearing the rest of them argue, and this is Elizabeth's shoulder, you can see because of the pin, and you can hear her voice, but her body never moves. So obviously this was the voiceover, the arguing voices were dubbed in later, like the actors weren't actually saying anything at that point, but unless you're looking for it, you won't notice it. There's only one other time where this is very noticeable, and that's in Trinity. That's in Trinity. I'll get to it later when we do Trinity. The Trinity was a fun episode. Anyway, so Rodney, Rodney is he isn't happy. This is a man who is neurotic, selfish, arrogant, and afraid of just about everything, and petty. We can't forget the petty. We're not supposed to like him. We haven't liked him up to now. He's really, really annoying. And yet, despite all of this, the moment the chips are down, he overcomes all of these problems. And without telling anyone, he puts on the doodad and it activates, obviously. And he walks into the darkness, which is a pretty cool metaphor, I suppose. He's willing to go into the darkness for Atlantis. I'm not going into a deeper motif. There is some light and dark, but I mean, he walks into the light. And the shield works as advertised, and it protects him. And he is able to take the Nakada generator and throw it through the gate. And the entity follows. And I mean, I guess we should be happy they're not sacrificing a Malp to this entity. Though I suppose, strictly speaking, they could actually go back to the planet and pick up the Malp. I mean, the entity is probably not going to linger around the gate. But anyway, they are not sacrificing a Malp, only a Nakada generator, which probably has been depleted anyway. So, yeah, power is a bit of a problem for these people. But anyway, the entity follows the generator through the gate. The Malp stays, and it leaves a passed out Rodney behind. And I mean, at least everyone's concerned about him. Like, they're really, really, it's very touching how concerned they are. Although he did just save them, but it's like that moment with the Spider-Man meme from "Careful, he's a hero." Well, okay, fine, he's a hero, but they're still concerned about him. And when he wakes up, even John is willing to tell him, you passed out, not you fainted, which makes Rodney very happy because his masculinity is that fragile. And then just to bring to tie it all together, John gets up and tells Taylor, "That's a Hail Mary," because yay football, and that's really silly. Don't like it, but anyway, it's thematic, I suppose. And that's it. But before we go, of course, there's something else I want to talk about. And that's Rodney and his fragile masculinity with the fainting and the passing out thing. I harp on about this because in our current state, we don't get heroes anymore. That's where we get the Mary Sues and the, I don't know what the male Mary Sues, I've heard it, I don't know what, I don't remember, where we get characters who aren't broken. Like, these characters are perfect. They are especially the men. I'm talking about the men this time. The men, they don't have a fragile masculinity. They are manly men and they are doing their thing, but they are also in touch with their feminine side, and which is where you want, maybe, as a society to end up. But that's not where you want characters. That's especially not where you want characters to start. You want characters to have the flaws so that they can grow, either grow into them or grow out of them. But I prefer, obviously, people growing out of them, because that's the hero's journey. A hero's journey is a person who, despite everything, does the right thing. Even if it ends up being wrong or the wrong thing, he does to do the right thing. Like Picard said, sometimes you can do everything right and still lose. But the hero is the one who still chooses the right thing, even if the result isn't perfect. And Rodney is such a great character because he starts out so very low. Like this guy, apparently they wanted some guy to be like apparently they had someone in mind for the fourth member of the team. I don't remember all the rumors. Some astrophysicist or something, and David Hewlett apparently made his case for Rodney coming back. And I have to say, even though I never caught the feels for either the character or the actor as so many of the fangirls do, like, the character is fantastic. It's a hero's journey where he starts out pretty much down there, like he's a coward and he's petty and he's neurotic, and in many ways he still is, but he's learned to overcome them to be an asset to the team. Because let's be honest, before actually putting on the doodad and going into the dark, he would not have been an asset to John's team, and there would have been no reason to take him along. I mean, at this point, I would have taken Peter along. He is perhaps not as smart as Rodney, but he's obviously capable. He has some knowledge of the ancient language. He's obviously able to work with the technology. And if you want someone who is both not a coward and technologically savvy, and you're going to send them out into the big nowhere or through a gate to a planet where they have no idea what's going on, you don't want Rodney. You don't want Rodney. But he's shown that he can be a hero, that he does choose the right thing. And that is why I suppose he's on John's team. And also, I know I've been talking a lot about the fandom. I know it's an old fandom. I mean, this series is 20 years old or more. And I did manage to sign back into my old email account for my fanfiction on fanfiction.net. The stories are still there. I wrote under Diabolical Pink Bunny. I don't know how the slashes work, if there are slashes or but if you want to see some of the stuff I wrote, it's there. You can go look it up, fanfiction.net, Diabolical Pink Bunny. My favorite, of course, is how to make a Diabolical Pink Bunny. It's always fun, but that's it. And I see I've been going for 33 minutes, which makes this one the longest. And I have to go because I actually have I have a job where it's not a big job, but I actually have a job I have to go to. So if you like this, push the like button. I would love comments. I would love to hear from you. Subscribe, share, do all the things, and I'll be back to sweet with 38 minutes.